We'll call this meeting to order, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for August 16th, 2022. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Trelka. White.
Here. Have a moment of silence to reflect on our actions of the day. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the agenda received as proposed or as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comments? Anyone from the public have anything they'd like to talk about other than what's on the agenda in the room here? How about online? Hearing none, moving on to claims and payments. Mr. Perry.
This week's expenditures total $1,214,414.52, of which we had expenditures of $766,920 for Grundy Road, $202,222 for secondary roads, $22,524 for Sheriff's Department, and finally $41,661 for maintenance. Everything is normal.
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of the items? Hearing none, this is the resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Trelka.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is receive project updates from department heads and elected officials. Morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. Grundy Road finished up paving last Friday. ASPRO finished the paving. They are out placing shoulder rock this week, as well as pavement markings will hopefully be placed in the next week or two, and then rumble strips. And then the road will be finished. So I would like to ask, would you like to have a ribbon cutting? I'm working with the Grundy County Engineer to see what the wishes of their board is. We wouldn't hold up opening the road, but possibly by the end of the month we could have just a short ceremony out there. I just wanted to know if you're interested in that, or if you'd like me to pursue that. I will work with the Grundy County, of course, but
I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I know you had to give up on some during the height of the pandemic, so it'd be nice for you to be able to celebrate some of your great accomplishments of the department.
Yeah. I was going to say, it was quite an accomplishment anyway in the joint effort, so I think it'd be a great opportunity.
okay, we'll move forward with that, and I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Any other department heads here? Any online? Yolando?
So good morning, Board. It's Yolando Lovelace of Blackhawk County Veterans Affairs. I just had a couple things to share. Next Wednesday, we're hosting our district training for the county VSOs within District 3. It makes up about 10 counties. They're going to come down to our facility, and we'll do some training in particular on with the signage of the PACT Act in all of the new, to include 23 new presumptive conditions in support of post 9/11 Gulf War veterans and also our Vietnam veterans. We're starting to see an increase of our Vietnam veterans coming in particular for the hypertension, which is the high blood pressure. We're getting the awareness out there. We're building flyers to let our veterans know these new presumptive conditions, in particular to the Vietnam veterans, because they did include now like Guam, and in Guam, they're from 1962 to 1980. So any Air Force veteran that was on the island of Guam or the American Samoa now falls up under those 18 presumptive conditions for exposure to herbicides. So we got to get this word out so that we can help other veterans, as this PACT Act has now opened the door for us to stay busy pretty much through the rest of the year. Another thing is we had an opportunity to host Mr. Matthew Peterson, who is the Commandant of the Iowa Veterans Home. He was very impressed with our facility. He sat through our meeting. I got a special note from him saying, hey, that Blackhawk County is on his Diamond Club based off of the gracious opportunity that we had. He's also coming back next Wednesday for our district training, so I'll get an opportunity to interact with him again. But our focus is on now is just helping these veterans, getting awareness out there to veterans that are aware of the post 9/11 presumptive conditions and the 2 new presumptive conditions for Vietnam and the new locations where they affect, to include now all of Thailand. And so we've had a couple of veterans get denied because they were in Thailand, but not working along the fence line, but now they included the whole island of Thailand. So we got to do some recalling of veterans who were previously denied and then reapply. But that's our biggest thing moving forward, is to take part in that and get that awareness out to our community so that veterans are understanding of what the new benefits are and then how to apply. Standing by to address any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Yolando. Anyone else online? Hearing none, moving on to minutes approved for August 9th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of the item? Hearing none. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Consent agenda by resolution.
So moved.
So, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of the items? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is other business, discussion, Blackhawk County employee cookout update. Morning, Amanda.
Good morning. Amanda Fezemeyer, Human Resources Director. So I just wanted to give a brief update, and I think it was shared with you all a potential idea that the committee has come up with for the employee cookout that is to be held on September 18th. So we are funding this through donations from leadership individuals, as well as seeking other opportunities in order to offer a paid lunch. And so one idea that came from the committee was to hold a bake sale here at the county, and that be done on the first lobby. And we've had a couple people from the assessor's office who are very familiar with running bake sales and have offered to support that effort. So just wanted to bring that to the board and discuss any, permissions, approvals, or anything that we would need to do in order to have that. I believe we were looking at next Wednesday. Is that correct? Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So, and planning is coming along really well. The survey results were very favorable. We had a lot of people excited about the event and looking forward to having a way to connect with other employees and one another from different departments for a nice social outing. So,
Great.
anything else, Grant? Did I miss anything, or anyone?
There's one thing that I wanted to bring up that I keep hearing over and over again as ideas for a fundraiser, and I don't know if how we would do this, but people seem to think that a great prize to be won by employees is like a month-long parking pass in the main parking lot. And I keep saying, well, that would need a board approval. So I don't know what's the best way to go about that approval, if we can just ask you here or if we need to make a formal request or what. But what does the board think about that?
I'm in favor of it, and all we'd have to do is go through Rory to get the pass made up.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
Staff are going to be excited. That's going to be that's going to get a lot of turnout.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and the funds that were going to be used from the bake sale were for activities and
Yes, I
additional
should
activities.
mention. So, part of it is to support the lunch. We have an ice cream bar. This is a family-friendly event, so we are encouraging staff to bring their families, and so a lot of it is, to support prizes and games and activities for that afternoon. So that is the plan, and we're really pleased with how the committee's been coming along with the planning. So.
Great.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you.
Anything else
Thanks to the committee.
on that subject?
I don't believe so, unless you guys have questions.
No. Any of the supervisors got any questions? Hearing none, moving on to discussion for Blackhawk County Employee Compensation Study. Got awful quiet.
Yes.
I had asked that, of course, that this be placed on the agenda, and Amanda had gathered some information and has been working on this. I think we have several positions that are wholly underpaid, and I think this is sorely needed. So I want to have this discussion sooner than later. Money, it's not all, I mean, I've been in positions where I did not solely engage in the duties because of the pay, but the pay is an important part of a government's appreciation for a job well done. And I feel that we as a county are lacking in that regard. So I hope we can come to a majority here that agrees we need to proceed with this compensation study and then seriously look at what this study tells us and take some appropriate action.
I'd like to second the sentiments of Supervisor Chalka, and I fully support going forward with this study.
So I have some information for you all. I shared with you, sent out a proposal for an RFP to engage in soliciting bids for a classification review and compensation study. But before I get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about what compensation philosophy is. And a strong compensation philosophy, or a good one, would support the county's goals and objectives while still being competitive in the market. And it would also include a reward system for raises that would be factored into that compensation philosophy. These types of tools are used to attract, retain, and motivate employees, and further taking the time to ensure a fair compensation strategy exists in our organizations can help employees feel appreciated. Lastly, one of the key factors of a compensation philosophy is to show equal pay for equal work. And the last time that we've really had a formalized review of our classification and compensation structure was 1981. And when I looked back at records from the board through the auditor's office, we had a discussion in 2012 with HR. It was actually a work session that was led by Gerald Clyde. And for the need for this, specifically to non-bargaining, as that classification has really, that system has eroded over time. But at that point, there was really no action taken to move away from the system that we have in place. So currently, our employee handbook and our non-bargaining policy both reference this manual, which it says right on here, May 1981. The actual grades in the non-bargaining classification are identical to the grades and the scoring template that we use currently to evaluate jobs today. And also talking about the overall structure of our non-bargaining system, it doesn't allow for staff to reach the top of their pay range, and this has really become an issue, or a, I guess I would say staff have kind of grown dissatisfied with that reality. With the bargaining teams and the bargaining staff here, they are able to attain the top of their pay range through those negotiations. But what this RFP, it does look at a county-wide comprehensive review of all positions. The non-bargaining classification needs to be evaluated, but the market analysis would also include bargaining positions as well in preparation for the upcoming negotiations a year from now. Some of the concerns that HR has brought forward is just the length of time since our last formal review. It's been 41 years. Certainly things have changed as we continue to evaluate jobs today using a 1981 structure. And then internal inequity is a major concern. Applicants currently today are in a stronger position to negotiate on compensation now more than ever. We typically only evaluate jobs for compensation after a vacancy occurs or when a new position is developed, but we don't take that out to look around the surrounding positions for equal pay for equal work. And then most recently, this last year, we had an opportunity to look at our law enforcement division wages a bit more closely, and with that we made some changes, but that has also created some inequity. And on the attachment that you have here, and I will provide this out to those that are on Zoom. This is our non-bargaining employee compensation plan, and if you look at the second page at the bottom here, I have written down that the sergeant starting salary, which a sergeant is a frontline first level supervisory position in law enforcement, they make the same as the HR director and the deputy director for their starting salary. If you go to the next page, you can see a lieutenant starts at what a county engineer would start. And then a captain goes even beyond what our current classification system allows for. I know those are appointed roles, but they carry the same weight and similar type of work as our department heads and other management and supervisory positions. I think we all know that the current market conditions have driven a bit of this need and the urgency, but even without the current market conditions, I think the length of time since our last formal review warrants a serious consideration from the board.
I appreciate the work that you've done just putting the proposal together. I said a lot of time and effort went into that, and I think it is something, like I say, it's come up at different budget sessions, and we have talked about it in the past. We did talk about it in the last budget session, and I think even considered at that time that possibly could be an ARP expense, and it sounds like probably that's not the case now, but yes, I think the fact that we brought it forward then and you've brought it to our attention several times. We've also had several positions that you've done an analysis for just in the last couple of years that we've had to modify, so I definitely think it's warranted to have this comparison and from a third party. Just strengthens, I guess, what the information that we have and what we want to do going forward, so I appreciate what you've done. I saw the objectives in there, the goals and objectives too, that I said are for the vendors to see, and I think from the county's objectives, and I think yeah, they're right on target, those 7 for what we want to do here at the county.
Thank you, and yes, those, you know, a lot of this was pulled from, there are similar entities in our position. We're not alone in this, and so a lot of the information that was pulled together was from other municipalities that have experienced the same thing, where at one time a system in place made sense, but over time it hasn't, you know, been evaluated, or that need is it comes up again, and that's what I look at compensation as no different than other important areas, leaning on an expert to come in and actually objectively evaluate these. It's a very important factor to our workforce, and similar to benefits and other, you know, professional services that the county engages in. So,
I did have one question on the completion of work date. That was January 31st.
Sure.
Obviously, that's still a good time for us during budget, but I wondered, do we not think it could be any sooner, or would that
Sure.
depend on
So
the
I would
vendors?
probably, you know, with this being a comprehensive system, it's going to take a little bit longer than what I initially proposed. Initially, I was just looking at non-bargaining. And I would say that it could be done probably sooner. A lot of the bargaining positions, the Human Resources Department can support in doing that market analysis as well. All of that information is public knowledge, so I don't anticipate it's going to take that long, but the bulk of this is going to be, you know, that reclassification or that reevaluation of the non-bargaining structure. I don't anticipate that the bargaining one will take as long, and that is something that will be actually taking place during the negotiation process, because it is something that the board took a strong stance on with the Chapter 20 changes to allow for those permissible items to be bargained on, and job classifications and pay structure are one of those topics. So, you know, I put that out there, just looking at what others have done in the past. My hope is it doesn't take longer than that, but you know, there has been a lot of interest from other municipalities, other organizations doing this, so, you know,
Could be busy.
experts might be a little busy, consultants might be busy, so but it's worth a shot, and we'll see if we can't get it all tied up in time for budget. At least, you know, right now the union contracts, we are locked in for 2 years, so that would be a different discussion depending on the results of the study, whether we just, you know, hold off until negotiations a year from now, or actually open the contracts again. But
And I think you said that, mentioned in your email, this has not been reviewed by Mr. Trinan.
Correct.
This was just, you were kind of waiting to see what the board wanted to do.
correct,
Okay.
yep. So I haven't had him review it with insurance or any kind of legal needs. So
So that'd be our next step.
And then if there's interest, I'd like to bring it back to the board for approval.
Sounds good, Amanda.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other supervisor got any comments?
No, I just thank you again, Amanda, for pushing this forward. I'd really appreciate if we could have it done by budget if possible. And we should really think about maybe county policy that would set us on kind of a schedule for how often we do these studies. Given that the last study you said was done in 1981, I was only a few months old in 1981. We probably should have had 5 of these studies in that amount of time. So as we get through this process, we should be thinking about maybe a county policy that would set that we do one of these every 5, 6, 7 years.
Thank you, and I think that will be one of the outcomes. They typically say that organizations should be looking at this every couple of years. Public sector may be a little different, but I agree it would be ideal that we kind of have a strategic perspective and looking beyond the immediate need for our workforce.
Well, I want to thank you too for what you and your staff have done. I said in several of the positions that I just looked back that we have done recently, I said that you've provided that work for us, and that's been very helpful. So thank you for that. But yeah, it'd be nice to have this too.
Thank you, Amanda.
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, see you next week.
Thank you.
Any reports or information from the board? I'd just like to announce send out our condolences to the family of T.J. Coinsfeld, the county assessor. He lost his father the day before yesterday. I worked with Mr. Coinsfeld for many years at John Deere's. One hell of a nice guy, and it's too bad he died as young as he did. Also, September 9th to the 11th, we'll be having the Vietnam veterans will be holding a 45-hour vigil for the names on the wall over at the Vietnam Memorial of the Blackhawk County veterans that died in the line of duty during the Vietnam conflict. Last night I went to Fredericksburg to get a check from a small town, Fredericksburg. AMVET Post donated $4,000 for honor flight for next year, and they've got a bunch of veterans that qualify to go, so looking forward to next year for our honor flights too. So things are moving in the right direction. Anyone else got any information?
I was just going to ask, I know, Amanda, you'd sent an email to us regarding the Civil Service Commission utilizing this room, and if we wanted to respond to that. I didn't know, did any supervisor?
I haven't seen it yet.
You said for August 31st. I think she was just asking for us to respond if we had an issue with that. I just thought I didn't, but I wanted to make sure we all just...
Okay. Yeah, so if that needs board approval for just permission to use, we have a hearing coming up, and I could let, Mike is going to be representing the county, and they just felt that this was a more formal setting because it is, although it's an informal hearing, it's still a better setting than our basement conference room. But if that does need to go on next week's agenda for board approval for August 31st, we can certainly do that.
I didn't think it needed to be, from my standpoint, use of the room for the day. It's only for the one day anyway, too, isn't it? But I just thought...
It's fine with me.
All supervisors are online at this point in time, so it's good to have everybody in the same room.
The idea would be to have something with recording capabilities, online capabilities, all of that. The room just seems almost perfect for that. So,
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Trinan.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before us? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are adjourned.